online one here. The online one, they wouldn't put that. Yeah. All right. So, all right. So good. We started. All right. So the question is now, we want to write a C program that allows a user to enter values that will be stored into a file. So when we enter values, the values go into a file. The values should be integer values and should be between 100 and 5,000. The program should allow for the values in the file to be read, right? And an average of the values in the file should be shown with the date, which is entered by the user every time the program is run, right? Okay, so let me change up this, right? Every time the program is run, the user can see all of the previous averages, data, and date. So it means that when we work out the average, it writes that a different file. Okay? So, which is stored to a different file. Right? So averages data is stored to a different file. What we have here is, let me just try and illustrate it for you. Okay, so what we have here is we have a program. When our program runs, right, we could probably get some information in a menu like enter a new value, right, to view all averages, and 3, right, create new average. So let's say, for instance, we have something that we're recording, and every time we record it, we place the data. Every time that we record it, we place the data inside of our file. So when we select to enter a new value, we have a file that just has, let's call it averages.txt. So we have averages.txt. And we have now like 2, like 5, right? Oh, I'm sorry. We said that the values are between 100 and 5. So we have 290, we have 531, we have 4,322, right? And let's say those are the values that we've entered. And we want to now run some averages on this. We want to run some averages on this, right? We say, okay, create new average. Create new average. So we want to create a new average. What create new average could do is it could probably take us to a screen that will ask us to enter the date, or maybe I'll make the first thing that right? The first thing, anyway, to enter the date, and it has, you enter the date, the 18th of the 2nd, 2021. And what it would do then is that it now pulls all of this data and works out the average. So 295, 31, and 43.22. I might give you an average of 2,000 something, right? 2,000, let's just say 357.4. And then what this will do is that this will ask you if you want to save the average. So it asks you if you want to save. And if you say yes, then it puts it, right, into a file. So maybe we shouldn't call this file average.txt. We should call this data.txt. Right? Average.txt. And now this file has average.txt. Right? Average.txt. We will store 2357.4 and the date 18/2/2021 inside of this file. Right? Well, we keep in the date so that, remember, we want to see to view all averages. So what this second one does is, if you select that, it will show all of the different averages that was in the file from the different dates that you ran it. Okay, so you could see how the average changes over time, right? Maybe even in the future, get an average of the averages. Understood? So that's our goal for today. All right, good. So we want to start off. How do we start off here? We start off just like every other program that we write, right? stdio.h and include stdlib.h. Right? We say int main, and we want to, right, save this inside of our valdez_c folder. Where is that boy? OneDrive, valdez_c, right? And so this will file underscore averages .c, right? You just name it that for what it is. What I also want to do in this program is I also want to use functions to do certain things. So it's a kind of recap of functions that I want to do as well. So, you know, I'll do the menu from main. We'll start off doing the menu from main, and then we will go into actually doing the file input output and breaking up different menu options into functions. So we know that we could start off by simply printing out the menu, right? What do we want to print to the user? Right, we could say welcome to our program. Okay, \n, right? What's the first option? Right, the first option is enter a value. Enter a value that to add to the data set. Okay, enter a value to add to the data set. The second option was to view, right? View the, right? View all the averages, and, you know, well, create new averages could come from view all average. No, create new average will be different, because create new averages to say, okay, based on the new data that I have, right? But view all averages would be based on old data. So view all saved averages, right? So view all saved averages, and then printf printf 3. What? Hold a second, please. Yeah. So view all saved averages, and then the third option was to create a new average, right? So let's go with that. create a new average. And now, lastly, we'll have the option to leave the program. So we have all of these different we have all of our different options here displayed in the menu. I didn't really put it in a I really didn't put it in a separate function to show the menu, but I think that we should be pretty proficient in doing that anyway. All right, leave the program. So last thing, please make your choice. Okay, please make your choice. So for us to get this to loop, right, we could say while, and again, the only way to come out would be to use the menu option to come out. So we could put all of this inside of a while loop. All right, let me put my return 0 down here so that my return 0 is included, right? And I'll just put a little show menu options. Everybody should be fine with this kind of thing up to now. Okay, we could have a variable, right? Int options to take the option, and of course, if we have the option being asked for, we take in the option. We take in the option by going scanf %sign d ampersand scanf %sign d ampersand opt. So we now have our options. C.
So you have D.
Yeah.
Scan D.
Does. Etc. So we have please make your choice, scanf %sign d ampersand opt getcha. This is what we printing out here. Okay. What's next? Anybody? Tell me, what is the next step from here? The next step from here is setting up our switch or our if structure. Yeah, Joshua, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was about to say, I didn't really think again. It's what I said. I was just thinking making something to enter the values with. I was
Right.
thinking.
Okay, yes. But we will have to do that from the switch structure. Right? So we could go switch, and opt. And of course, we'll have to use some case 1 colon break. All right? So switch case 1, and then we'll break from here. And what do we want to do here? Inside of here, we want to be able to call a function that will prompt us to enter a value and then store that value to a file. What would be a good name for that function? Anybody?
So what you want the function to do again?
We want the function to prompt the user for a value and store it to a file, store it to the file. Simple good name for the function would be something like get data.
Or get data. Okay.
Yeah. Right? Get data. And for now, this function has nothing being returned from it and nothing passed to it. So void get data. Right? Void get data. And in terms of void get data, right? Of course, now we want to be able to define it later on. So this is the function that would allow us to get the data. Let me just put in the option for 4, because we could always put in the other cases later. All right, so case 4, and in the case of case 4, we could say printf. And what do we want to say? All right, thanks for using our program. Goodbye. I get char here, and then to exit the program, we put exit 0. All right, break. And in the event of the user putting in something that they're not supposed to put in, we put in the default statement. And the default statement would allow us to say, right, printf, what do we want the default statement to say? Right, invalid selection made. For us to be able to test this program at this point, all we have to do, we could create an empty declaration for the one function that we have so far. So I could say down here, void get data, right? And like any good programmer who hasn't done something yet, I put to do down here. And what this allows me to do is that this allows me to, just simply, add functionality later on. Compile, we have 0 errors. Run, right? Enter a value to add to the data set. So we get our menu, right? If we select 1, nothing should happen. Nothing did happen. If we select something like 8, we get a message saying invalid selection made. Maybe we should put a \n. Maybe we should put a \n after that, so that, it will be on its own line, right? So 8, invalid selection made. Okay, if it is that we select the option for 4, thanks for using our program, goodbye. So we're rolling along thus far. Everybody on the same page with me, right? All we've done so far is set up how our program works. Yes, Hazard, go ahead.
So I'm not so sure about this question, but so you could put like emojis in C?
There are ways to show like DOS emojis. I don't, off the top of my head, I can't remember how to do it. You could actually draw simple boxes and stuff like to make like a window or a border or something. So in C, you could look online and you'll see how to do it. It's fairly simple. It's same printf kind of statement, right? So it's possible, right? If we wasn't in the middle of this, I would have tried and see if we could have print out the ASCII list and see if we could find where the emojis lie on it, like real basic emojis. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So thanks. Right. So this is where we're at. So what get data maybe should do is get data would allow us to actually get the information, the number that we want to add to the file, right? The number that we want to add to the file and add it to the file. So let's see if we can do that. Okay. So get data, void get data. Say printf, and please enter the number, right? And we said that the number needs to be, between 100 and 5,000. So I could put here 100 to 5,000 that should be added to our data set. Okay? So we prompt the user for the number. Prompt the user for the number. And then what do? All right, we need to have somewhere to store this number. So we can say int num. And we will store this number. So we say scanf. Scanf what? And sign d, comma, ampersand num. So we store this number inside here, put a getcha after our scanf just to clean up input. And where do we go from here? We have this, we now have the number stored. We have to store it into the file. All right, we have to store it into the file. So where is this file going to be? For me, typically I have, right, on my C drive, I have my Valdez_C where I store these files that I use. All right. So I could now, or maybe it might be nice to prompt the user to enter where they would want this stored. Okay, where they would want this stored. So we could always come up with a file, and this is a string. Let's say you could see, right? We could also say printf. Please enter where on your computer you would like to store your file. Okay? Please enter where on your computer you would like to store your file. Okay? Example, C:\/ Valdez_C /data.txt. So we ask them to enter the actual information in terms of being able to store their file. Right? We could use gets, and we could say gets file. How now am I going to, what now am I going to use to write this information to my file? I've just added, I have some information to add to my file. How am I going to add this information to my file? We did something like this last class. Yeah? No? Everybody quiet, boy. Everybody. What's going on? All right. Okay, so we need to have a file pointer. So times file, all right, FP. So we have a file pointer. And we have to do what with the file to get it? So we use a pointer, and what happens to the pointer? What happens with the pointer? Somebody talk to me. Should I call a name, or is somebody going to say something to me?
So link it to the file location where you wanted to save.
How do I do that?
Say,
And not just Joshua. Joshua answering plenty. Ezekiel, Elijah, Jaden, what is my next step here? I'm looking to write some data to a file.
FP is equal to F open.
Right, so I have to open the file. So I say FP is equal to F open, right? And what do I want to do with the file? What do I want to do with the file?
That's where you put the W to write.
I'll put the W to write. But do I, let's think it through. Do I need to actually write in this case? Because from the example that I have, it looks like I want to keep on adding data to the file. So what do I do in this scenario?
Use append.
I could use append, right? So what do I put inside of here? I just got the file location from the user, so I put file there, and I say open it as append, right? Open it as append. And what this would allow me to do, right? What this would allow me to do is that this would allow me to, just add data to the end of the file. Okay? So I might go a little easy in terms of a solution here with appending, right? But at this point, I want to test to see if my file will get created, right? So at this point, I want to test to see if my file will be created if I allow my user to enter c:\c/data.txt. Okay? So what I do is that I open the folder that I want, and I open my program, and I compile it and run it. And thankfully, it didn't have any errors up to this point. So I press 1, and I see, please enter the number that should be added to our data set. Right? Let's say 800. Please enter where in your computer you would like to store your file. Right? So, why is sorry. Notice that I have to have 2 backslashes there for my backslash to print out. Right? Because I had some crazy looking characters printing out. So I had a \v being translated into something and a \d being translated into something else. Okay, so I have 1, right, 800, and it says, okay, example c:\c/data.txt. Okay, so let me enter that just as I have it here. I'll use 1 backslash. I can't remember even if when you put it in, if you have to use the 2 backslashes, but I guess we will figure that out. We say c:\, right, Valdez_c, right, \data.txt, and I press enter, right, and data.txt got created here. This is the file that, sorry, here, right, I pointed the wrong file. So that is the file that got created there based on me allowing the user to specify where the file should be created. Hold 1 second, please. Right. So everybody with me up to this point as in terms of what we're doing? Yes, no? All right. We just created the file And we created the file by allowing the user to specify where they want that file's information to be stored. Right? So we enter on our computer where we would want to store your file, right? That we'll be using for here. Okay? We run, everything okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Right? So FP is equal to F open file that we specified, and we opening the file to append. All right. We'll just for now assume that we that there's data in the file already or something. So I don't want to go through the whole having to test and see if it have information in the file and whatnot. All right. So FP is equal to F open file and the file size, the file mode is append. And then we want to, but before we do this, is there something that I should have done? Is there something that I should have done that would have allowed me to not enter data in the file if the data set is incorrect? Yes, I should have put this inside of a if statement that says if num is greater than or equal to 100 and num is less than or equal to 5,000, because we only want data inside of that range, right? This is our validation. So we validate the data before we asked to store it in a file. We could say else, right? We could say else and put a printf and say else the data entered is outside of the acceptable range, right? And in the brackets, we could remind them 100 to 5,000. Everybody good with that?
Yes, sir.
Right, and put a get chart to pause. So otherwise, right, let them know the data was unacceptable. But let's go back into this part now, where the data is acceptable, right? What we do is that we ask the user where they want to store their data. Ask the user where they want to store their data, right? Please enter where in your computer you would like to store your data file. Let me see a data file, right? We get the file, we open the file for append, and then we can add data to that file. How are we going to add data to that file? Right? How are we going to add data to the file? We can say fprintf fp, add the data %d \n, and we'll add the number here. Right? So we open the file to append, and then we add the data to the file. So we open the file to append and we add the data to the file. So we good here for now. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So let's test this and see if our data will get added to the file. As I say, don't worry about the little extra space that would be in the file. We'll deal with that after. Right? So enter a value to add to the data set. We want to add 500. Now notice that I deleted my file from inside of here. Right? Okay, I get us to pop to the side there now that I have the screen being shared or whatever. Right? So anyway, that don't make a difference. Enter the number that we want to share. We have 500. we say please enter where on your computer you would like to store your data file. C :/ Valdez _C / data.txt, and it got created here, and we don't have anything inside of it because of the fact that we forgot to fclose our data, right? We didn't fclose yet. So we have to fclose and then C. So fclose FP. You learn something there, right? Open your file. 1, enter. 500, enter. C : / Valdez _C / data.txt, right? And hopefully now, when we leave the program and we go into here, 500 is written inside of here. Okay? So you see, remember last class I told you all that there are instances where if you don't use fclose, the data does not get written properly? That was one of those instances. Last class when I said it, the computer embarrassed me by writing the information to the file, regardless, without using fclose, but now today it didn't. Okay? But I'm telling you that once you do it, you're not going to, you would not get problems. It would flush out or clean out the buffer of information inside of the file, and you get the data inside. The data would be written to the file. So now we have it good because now we have where data could be written to the file, right? I'm gonna just fix that. So anyway, yeah, I just fixed that so that let's see, right? So we have our file, we have data inside of the file. What is the next thing that we want to do? Well, the next thing that we want to do is that we want to be able to create a new average. And we know that the part that allows us to create a new average asks us for two things, right? It asks us for when you are running the average, and it asks us for the location of a file. I would like to go on break at this point. It is 1:53. Let's take 10 minutes or 12 minutes, so we'll come back at 2:05. Okay? Any questions before we go out on break? Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All right. So I'm pausing here, and then we'll resume after the break.